Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. 5 days after Fan Yunxiao departed, figures clad in bizarre garments began to surface upon the lonely isle. There were men and women, elders and youths alike. One among them arrived first and drove a banner into the earth. In the next instant, streaks of light flickered in succession, and more banners manifested across the island. When those banners were withdrawn, several hundred silhouettes revealed themselves, seated in a ring about the isle. Each occupied a distinct position, scattered like constellations strewn across the firmament, motionless as though carved from stone. Yet at every interval of 4 hours, they would rise in unison and shift their places. The rhythm was exact and never once deviated. Beneath the canopy of a tree, Long Jianan trembled faintly before stepping toward the heart of the island. Si Yunxiang, by contrast, was in high spirits preparing meals for all, lest hunger trouble them. Ling Yushu's countenance was solemn as she surveyed their surroundings. She discerned that an immense formation enveloped them, sealing them upon the island with no path of escape. Should anyone rashly force their way out, the formation would stir and morph into a slaughter array, turning this tranquil isle into a realm of carnage. Once that grand formation awakened, its terror would surely be beyond compare. Moreover, Ling Yushu perceived among those strange figures several who wore the vestments of the imperial court. Some were eminent officials of the present dynasty, some humble hawkers of the marketplace, some executioners who wielded blades for beheadings, and even directorates from the imperial college. All manner of extraordinary eccentrics had gathered. Most curious of all was that these people altered their positions every 4 hours to shift the formation's configuration. This was clearly done to prevent Tao Master from unraveling the array's transformations. Heavenly Devil Cult truly deserves its title as the foremost sect of the Devil Path. Your timing is impeccable. Old Tao Master stood scrutinizing the killing array and could not help but sigh inwardly without end. In precisely 4 hours, I can calculate the formation's changes, and at that exact moment they alter the array. Formation Hall Master is truly devious. Formation Hall Master was the directorate of Imperial College's Hall of Array Element and had been granted the rank of Imperial Secretary by Emperor Yanfang. Favored by the sovereign, he was frequently summoned to the palace for counsel on affairs of state. Though the emperor withheld actual authority from him due to his origins in Heavenly Devil Cult, the majority of the army's formations had been designed by his hand. It seemed Formation Hall Master was well acquainted with old Tao Master's abilities. Thus, so long as Chen Mu remained imperiled, he would never permit him to depart alive. If he were to leave, it would only be as a corpse. In the blink of an eye, the 14th day arrived. Chen Mu closed his eyes. After a brief moment, he opened them and stepped down from the stone tablet. Bowing with clasped fists toward Tao Master, he said, "Senior brother, many thanks for allowing me to comprehend Tao's sword." Tao Master rose to return the salute. "I dare not accept such courtesy. As human emperor, you naturally possess the right to comprehend Tao's sword. I have shown you Tao's sword, and Rulai will likewise reveal Rulai's Mahayana Sutra to you. Human emperor is worthy of such acts from us." Chen Mu replied, "I have already beheld Rulai's Mahayana Sutra." Tao Master was taken aback. After a long pause, he shook his head and smiled. "That old fellow remains clever and sly, ever a step ahead of me. Disciple, return the great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures to human emperor." Daozi Linjuan emerged from his meditative state and at once drew the great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures back into a coil of thread, presenting it respectfully to Chen Mu with both hands. Chen Mu smiled. "You and I are of similar years. There is no need for such formalities." Daozi Linjuan shook his head. "Formalities are not amiss. I am not yet Tao Master and shall forever be your junior." Chen Mu said helplessly. Though Tao Master had never seen the great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures before, his remark that it contains both evil and good struck at its very samadhi. When you were comprehending it, how much good and how much evil did you perceive? Daozi Linjuan hesitated. Tao Master smiled faintly. "Cult Master Chen is versed in such matters. Speak your thoughts freely." Daozi Linjuan answered, "Perhaps because first impressions weigh heaviest. When I first read the great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures, nearly every line felt harmful. Only upon reaching the writings in the middle did I sense a different flavor. At that moment, righteousness and evil vanished from my heart. Yet when I arrived at the final passages, I felt I might have misread what came before, so I reread them. This time, my thoughts and feelings differed. Chenmu smiled and asked, "What percentage remains evil?" "Still 20%, Daozi Linxuan replied truthfully. Chenmu said, "Your Dao heart still harbors 20% devilishness, yet you are already far superior to Fozi." When Fozi Foshin read the great educational heavenly devil scriptures, every word appeared evil to him. Though he bore the countenance of a Buddha, his heart was that of an irredeemable devil. Daozi Linxuan was startled, and enlightenment dawned. So that is why! Yet the outcome was difficult for him to accept. His gaze flickered as he asked, "When Human Emperor read the great educational heavenly devil scriptures, what percentage was devil?" All the writings within the great educational heavenly devil scriptures are righteous writings, yet they are also devilish writings. It depends entirely on how I employ them. Daozi Linxuan stood stunned. This Chenmu spoke with profound intent. The path of the saint is none other than the everyday use of common people. That first sentence of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures already makes this plain. You and I are among the common people as well. When your heart and mind are righteous, the scriptures are righteous. When your heart and mind are evil, the scriptures become evil. I may wield them as righteous techniques or as devilish arts. The marvel of their application resides in the heart. The marvel of their application resides in the heart? Daozi Linxuan was once more stunned, feeling that Chenmu's words were deeply reasonable. Old Dao Master immediately barked, "Tut, do not heed his teachings. Those are their crooked doctrines of being free from nature. You are the next Dao Master. Beware lest his glib tongue bewitch you into his devil cult." Daozi Linxuan snapped back to awareness, drenched in cold sweat. His garments clung to him as he thought. He seized the chance to expound the devil cult's teachings and attempt to ensnare me. His doctrine of being free from nature differs from my Dao sect's teaching that Dao follows nature. Old Dao Master declared righteously, "Cult Master Chen's nature indeed surpasses yours. Thus, if in the future he confronts you under the identity of Devil Cult Master, you must remain vigilant. Do not see him only as the Human Emperor and forget that he is also the Heavenly Devil Cult Master." Chenmu did not know whether to laugh or weep. Old Dao Master regarded him as though he were a raging flood or savage beast, carefully instructing his disciple to guard against being drawn into Heavenly Devil Cult. Old Dao Master then asked, "How does Human Emperor view Dao's sword?" Chenmu answered solemnly, "I grappled with its mathematical reasonings. They were extraordinarily intricate. The final move seemed to transcend mathematics and draw near to Dao itself." Old Dao Master smiled, his words layered with meaning. The Dao sword of my Dao sect may also be seen as the art of precisely measuring a circle. The digits of pi approach infinity, and the circular ratio cannot be concluded merely with Shu Kong and Qing Jing. Beyond them lie digits uncountable. Dao has no end, and pi has no end. Why then alter Dao? Why transform Dao? Chenmu was taken aback. This old Dao Master was propagating the righteousness and orthodoxy of Dao sect before him. "Dao Master, take care not to go too far," Chenmu said with a smile. Old Dao Master laughed and instructed Daozi Linxuan to retrieve the stone wall. "Human Emperor, your identity is extraordinary and many terrifying foes await you. It would be best to return to the great ruins swiftly. The Dragon King's daughter was sent by me. Might old Dao bring her back?" Chenmu glanced at the Solomon seals beneath their feet. From many of the herbs, a few leaves had already sprouted, yet some had withered and died. "You need not worry. She will heed my words and never return here," Old Dao Master said with a smile. "You have lost nothing. She is the one who has lost much." Chenmu nodded and summoned Long Jianan. She endured her pain and staggered forward. Chenmu asked, "Will you still be my enemy?" "My Dragon Rider sect was annihilated because of you. I have no choice but to oppose you. Without me, your Dragon Rider sect would still have been destroyed. That was simply the truth of your circumstances. Even had I not been in Heaven Wave City, you would have met the same fate," Chenmu said. "My presence was mere coincidence. It is natural that you hate me, yet the next time you come, I shall kill you. I will not show mercy." Long Jianan clenched her teeth. Nor will I show mercy. Qin Mu shook his head. You no longer have any chance. Do not continue shedding your skin. The more you shed, the older you become. Follow Dao Master and depart. Long Jianan stood dazed beside Dao Master. Each time she encountered Qin Mu, she found him stronger than before. The next time she faced him, would she still be his match? Did she still possess a chance? Yet her hatred soon drowned her fleeting clarity, casting that moment of hesitation into oblivion. Old Dao Master cupped his fists. Farewell. Qin Mu returned the salute and rose. See Dao Master off. Whoosh! All the hall masters, guardians, and heavenly kings of heavenly devil cult rose together, opening a path. Old Dao Master led Long Jianan and Dao Zilin Xuan off the island. A cloud formed beneath their feet, bearing the three away. Qin Mu looked over the heavenly devil cult followers and waved with a smile. Disperse, disperse. They saluted in unison. Their massive banners swept about them, and they vanished without a trace. Yet Heavenly King Yu and Heavenly King Wang remained, clearly anxious for Qin Mu's safety. Qin Mu smiled. There is no need to worry so much about me. You may leave as well. The two heavenly kings exchanged glances. Drawing their garments about themselves, they disappeared on the spot. I do not think they will go far, Shi Yunshang said. Qin Mu nodded. Ling Yushu, however, was anxious. Great cult master, you only cared about putting on airs before your subordinates and sent them away. So how are we to leave now? Qin Mu hesitated. He truly had been putting on airs. The elders of the village had taught him that even in defeat, one must never lose face. Thus he had not allowed the heavenly devil cult followers to escort him off this eastern sea isle, lest he lose prestige before them. Do you think Fan Yunxiao will return for us? He asked tentatively. The two girls laughed grimly in unison. He wept so miserably when he left. Of course he will not return, Qin Mu muttered. Why not return by sea? We have no other choice. Si Yunxiang glanced back at the spirit spring, somewhat reluctant to depart. Tell me, do you think the Solomon seals will remember us when they awaken? I do not know. Qin Mu turned and looked upon the lush greenery overflowing beside the spirit spring, shaking his head. They have died once. If they possessed souls, those souls should have already descended into the dark Yudu. Yet their bodies will revive. As for whether their souls will be the originals with their former memories, or whether new souls will be born in those bodies, their memories blank as fresh parchment, I do not know. Si Yunxiang felt a trace of melancholy, yet seeing Qin Mu and Ling Yushu already upon the sea's surface, she quickly hurried after them. A wave rose beneath Qin Mu's feet, surging forward like a dragon's head, bearing them westward. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Grand Shaman received word from Pangong So and at once departed Roland's golden palace, heading west. He traversed the vast great ruins for a long while, crossing snow-capped mountains and entering a blazing desert. He arrived in West Earth and ascended its loftiest peak. The summit of that divine mountain gleamed with golden radiance. Barren save for a sacrificial altar, Grand Shaman drew forth 3 sticks of incense and lit them. Smoke spiraled upward, reaching toward high heavens. Where the smoke dissipated, a green-hued visage emerged within the sky, nearly blending with the blue vault above. The new human emperor has appeared, Grand Shaman said as he burned incense in reverence. Translator, Ninetales. Editor, Dark Gem. The verdant visage suspended in the firmament was boundlessly vast, as though woven from drifting mist, thin and insubstantial. Yet as it descended inch by inch, its features sharpened, each contour growing distinct and awe-inspiring. Beads of sweat purled upon Grand Shaman's brow. His head drooped low, and he dared not raise it, as though a mountain pressed upon his spine. High heavens! A voice, faint yet resounding, drifted down from the sky. Understood. Grand Shaman did not move a single muscle. The golden summit of the divine mountain was bitterly cold, yet sweat trickled from him unceasingly, drop after drop, striking the stone. Only after a long while did he secretly lift one eye to peer upward. The heavens were once more a clear, boundless blue. The enormous face had vanished at some unknown moment. Grand Shaman exhaled deeply in relief and hastened away, fleeing this place as though escaping calamity itself. Long after he had gone, minute tongues of flame flickered upon the golden peak, quivering like ripples upon water. When their trembling ceased, 2 golden-eyed Suanis burst forth from the fire, galloping with thunderous steps as they drew a treasured carriage behind them. At its heart rose an imperial canopy. Beneath it hung screens of jade and pearl, shimmering like cascading rain. Crowning the canopy were 3 circular golden peaks stacked one atop another, each smaller than the one below. 4 golden pillars upheld the canopy, each as thick as an arm and 7 feet in height. Beside every pillar stood a peerless maiden. Rings of vital chi hovered behind their heads like radiant halos. Their robes fluttered in the wind, each clad in a different hue. The maiden in green bore a jade vase. The maiden in red cradled a 7-stringed gukchen. The maiden in yellow held a sword in both hands. The maiden in white embraced a pipa. Beyond the curtain of jade and pearl, beneath the imperial canopy, a man in purple sat upright. Motionless, he exuded an extraordinary bearing, as though stars revolved about him. The 2 Suanis radiated brilliant light and auspicious colors. Treading upon clouds of fortune, they drew the treasured carriage toward Middle-earth with lightning swiftness. Unlike Grand Shaman, who had carefully skirted the boundless great ruins, this carriage charged straight in, leaving behind a trail of light as it sped toward the eternal peace empire. Those within seemed wholly indifferent to the perils of the great ruins. When night descended and darkness swallowed the land, the 2 Suanis flared with blazing flames that soared skyward. In the pitch-black night, they were dazzling beacons as they hauled the carriage onward. Devil chi surged forth, abruptly coalescing into a pitch-black palm that lunged toward the carriage and the glow of the Suanis. Wherever it passed, light was devoured, leaving only suffocating darkness. When the black palm loomed before the carriage, no glimmer remained. The pearl curtain stirred as the maiden in red plucked her gukchen, releasing 2 crisp notes, ding and dong. The sound rippled through the air. The black palm hesitated, then slowly withdrew. High heavens? A hoarse voice rasped from the abyss. The maiden in red inclined her head. High heavens, star sovereign Chow. The being in the darkness retreated, vanishing without trace. Thereafter, no further monsters dared assail the treasured carriage. Though the great ruins by night were incomparably perilous, they were far from silent. Horrors roamed freely, and bizarre happenings unfolded one after another. The treasured carriage proceeded eastward at a steady pace. Beneath the canopy, Star Sovereign Chow surveyed the present great ruins and shook his head lightly. The lingering evils have yet to be eradicated. The poison still remains. The carriage sailed through the heavens, carving a luminous streak across the darkness. From below, it resembled a solitary star gliding unhurriedly along the horizon. The night of the great ruins bore neither star nor moon. Thus villagers and strange beasts concealed among the ruins could not help but raise their heads in wonder at the unprecedented sight. Suddenly, the star plummeted sharply, crashing down toward the great ruins. Those watching could not help sighing in regret. Boom! The treasured carriage descended obliquely toward the source of surging river. In the darkness, 2 mountains stood like a colossal gate, and the carriage dropped between them. The Suanis struggled to steady their descent. Yet no matter how they strained, control eluded them. At last they let out distressed cries. The 4 maidens upon the carriage paled in alarm. They discovered that at some unknown moment their own flesh had vanished. They had become skeletons. They gazed forward and beheld the 2 Suanis pulling the carriage transformed into galloping skeletons as well. Beneath the imperial canopy sat yet another skeleton. Calm and composed, it snorted coldly. To drag my carriage down, could it be that Fengdu's malice has yet to perish? Within the darkness and mists ahead, vast shadows seemed to stand in silent ranks. Red lights flickered in the fog, lantern-like shapes pacing alongside the carriage. They were not lanterns. They were eyes. Gradually, the shadows thinned. One by one, the red lights winked out. Flesh returned to the 2 Suanis, and the burden of the carriage no longer weighed upon them. With a mighty exertion, they hauled it skyward once more. The 4 maidens felt their own flesh regenerate and could not help sighing in relief. Star Sovereign Chow's form likewise returned. He spoke indifferently. Fengdu, disregarding Yudu's discipline, daring even to oppose high heavens, this place will be purged sooner or later. The treasured carriage advanced along surging river. Only when dawn tinged the sky did they glimpse the far boundary of the great ruins, over 1,000 miles distant. Abruptly, A sword light shot up from below and exploded midair. In an instant, snow-bright brilliance burst forth, eclipsing even the rising sun. The Suanis and the four maidens shut their eyes. When they reopened them, the four maidens gasped. The heaven-shaking sword light had vanished. Before them lay majestic mountains and rivers, towering peaks and sheer ridges stretching without end. Strangely, these landscapes had not existed a moment prior. Now they floated upon the clouds, as though sprouting from the very mist. Rivers coursed down from the lofty peaks, roaring with the crash of waters. Waterfalls cascaded like jade from the cliffs. These verdant mountains and azure waters drifted serenely among the clouds, without the least sign of illusion. "Halt," Star Sovereign Chow said slowly. The Suwani stopped. He rose and gazed toward the distant mountains and rivers, which seemed to grow endlessly from beneath the clouds. Sword lights flickered faintly at their borders, too swift to grasp, yet not beyond his sight. It was as though someone wielded a sword as a brush, painting vast mountains and rivers upon the sky. Old Handicap still lives. A faint smile touched Star Sovereign Chow's lips. "Descend. An old acquaintance resides here." The Suwanis lowered the carriage. As they sank below the clouds, the mountains and rivers descended in tandem, ever obstructing their path. At last the carriage touched earth. The mountains and rivers shrank and withdrew, until nothing remained but a small riverside village before them. Through the pearl curtain, Star Sovereign Chow beheld a recliner at the village entrance. Upon it lay a limbless old man. The chair creaked as it rocked gently beneath the spring sun, while the disheveled elder basked at ease. "You are handicapped," Star Sovereign Chow spoke from behind the pearls, not dismounting. "Without arms or legs, you still dare bar my path? Are you not overestimating yourself?" Village Chief smiled faintly, continuing to rock. "Then why not try? I have neither arms nor legs, and but a few years left. Surely you have confidence to slay me?" Star Sovereign Chow snorted. "You have little lifespan remaining and cannot protect the new human emperor. Yet I will not wager my life against your crippled existence. If you dare not stake your life, then turn back." Vital chi surged from Village Chief, shaping into arms and legs. He rose from the recliner and walked forward. The Suwanis felt their blood freeze. The four maidens were aghast. In their eyes, the frail old man swelled ever larger, more imposing with each step, until he seemed to cover heaven and earth. "You cannot protect the new human emperor." Star Sovereign Chow stood. The imperial canopy spun, its pillars thickening and lengthening. The canopy billowed. Jade and pearls expanded like stars, encircling a sovereign. The four maidens seemed diminutive. Even the mighty pure-blooded Suwanis appeared pitifully small. Zhang, the sword of the maiden in yellow, leapt from its sheath into Star Sovereign Chow's grasp. He swung. The old man swung in response. When the two sword lights collided, Surging River was severed, and its waters flowed backward. In a flash, the radiant sword lights vanished. Village Chief lay once more upon the recliner, which creaked gently. Star Sovereign Chow sat beneath the canopy, the carriage restored to normal size. The colossal figures in star-filled heavens seemed but illusion. "I will not kill the human emperor, but others shall come," Star Sovereign Chow said coolly. "Young talents of high heavens will seek him." Village Chief replied lazily, "So long as it is not you old fossils, send them as you please." Star Sovereign Chow gazed at him deeply, then suddenly commanded, "Return to high heavens." The Suwanis wheeled about and soared westward. Within the carriage, the maiden in green asked, "Star Sovereign, why do we return thus?" He did not answer. Instead, he gave a muffled grunt. Droplets of blood fell from the carriage into the forest below. Wherever they touched, flowers burst forth and vegetation flourished wildly, spreading until entire mountains were carpeted in growth. Whoosh! The imperial canopy toppled backward, crashing into the great ruins. Jade and pearls scattered across the wilderness. Star Sovereign Chow's face paled slightly. "Do not retrieve them. Return to high heavens at once." The maidens were shocked. The Suwanis sped westward at full gallop. At the gate of disabled elderly village, the recliner shattered as it rocked. Village Chief fell heavily to the ground, croaking hoarsely, "Apothecary, apothecary!" Apothecary rushed out in flustered panic, grumbling, still trying to act tough without arms or legs. "Serves you right. Stop moving. Let me examine your injuries first."